For several decades, Sirmium, modern Sremska Mitrovica, Serbia, was one of the most important places in the Roman Empire. It had been a significant frontier post for decades. In fact, many 3rd century emperors were born here. But it was only towards the end of the 3rd century, when Galerius chose it as its capital, that Sirmium came into its own. It thus became, along with Thessaloniki, Nicomedia, and Milan, one of the centers of the new tetrarchic system. The palace we're looking at was built during the first years of Galerius's reign. This is a model of tetrarchic Sirmium. The imperial palace was in the lower left, now in the center of your screen. As you can see, it was adjoined by a hippodrome. That meant that the palace here in Sirmium, like its counterparts in Thessaloniki, Milan, and Nicomedia, and of course the Palatine in Rome, was adjoined by a large entertainment center. This was deliberate. It allowed the emperors, as they later would in Constantinople, to address the public and show themselves beside the palace. The palace has only been partially excavated. The portion we're looking at now was uncovered during construction in the late 50s. It appears to belong to the residential part of the palace. We're looking here at the area through which the palace was entered, a large courtyard, in the center of which was a tetrarchion, literally a 4-columned monument, which appears to have contained porphyry statues of the tetrarchs. Beyond the courtyard were a series of cubicula and reception rooms. Not much remains above foundation height, but as you can see, the mosaic floors are still preserved. In many cases, there are several levels of mosaics, which attest to various renovations of the palace. This appears to have been the primary reception room in which the emperors greeted important guests. This apse almost certainly held the imperial throne. Besides being decorated with mosaics, the floors were heated. We see here the short brick piers that supported the hypocaust system, heated by fumes from furnaces located just off-screen. Here we have the best preserved part of the palace, which contained, among much else, remains of a staircase that led up to the vanished upper story. To our left, we can make out a row of hollow tubes that once heated the walls in this section. This room, with the rebuilt fountain, was once lined with porphyry columns. The mosaics are well preserved, but only one is figural, and that's here on the wall. You can see in the bottom row, or just make out, a head of the god Mercury, who was joined, we assume, by the other Olympians in the vanished lozenges. As mentioned, this is only a small fragment of the imperial palace. Much more remains to be uncovered, and will be, as work continues on this pivotal center of the Roman frontier.